Chapter 16, Seina's Potential Part 2. It's just a little joke. A joke, an 18-plus adult joke. After that, they moved to the rooftop of the guild. As expected, when she chased after him, naked and clad in only a sheet, and shouting loudly, Seina was worried about what others thought and had no choice but to give up. Well, since it was Jovia, it was highly unlikely that he would be falsely accused, but it was the result of his consideration and pity for her daughter. It had a good view, but no one could come there. In fact, it wasn't even a place for people to enter or exit. It was just a rooftop area, and the only way to get there was by teleporting using spirit threads or flying. You can save that kind of joke for the goblins. Ha ha. I'm telling you, Seinachi. But wouldn't it be nice to have a clean, refreshing experience without any aftertaste? Ha ha. I'm already being stalked. Ha ha. Fine then, have a melon. So, I'm already married. If you don't have anything to say, I'm going home, okay? Seina took out his paper fan and got it ready to use at any time. I'm not a fool. So, he slapped the paper fan into his hand. It was a warning that he would hit her if she made a stupid mistake again. So, Seinachi, what do you have in there? Is it space science? Even Seina was taken by surprise and was speechless. As expected of a capable pervert. I guess she noticed after all. Is that so? That's not a joke. It's probably something that happened when you were touched during the inspection. You don't have to show your abilities there. She was a really unpleasant opponent. After Nayuta said that, Seina quickly gave up. Either way, if it was Jovia, there was no reason to keep it a secret. When I went into space, I was given a small AI probe to help me with my daily life, but now I have an installed type inside my body that makes it easier to function. Is that really all? Your reaction is a bit different, like you're a high-level spirit. Spirit, huh? I think that's a possibility, but occasionally an astral can appear in an AI. Nyuta is that type. By the way, when that happens, human rights come into play, at least in the Galactic Federation. I see. So it's what they call an artificial intelligence spirit. By the way, does Nayuta-chan have a gender? I'm a woman, but please stop making weird erotic comments. No, but seriously, is that okay? Unlike Jovia-san, Nayuta is considerate of such things. Is that true? Hey, can I talk to Nayuta-chan? It was already intriguing and, of course, erotic developments were a given with Jovia. Jovia-san would have a huge negative impact on Nayuta's emotional education, so even if you could talk, I would decline. Emotional education? Does that mean Nayuta-chan is still a child? It's only just started, so I guess that's how it feels emotionally. Maybe it's because emotions weren't supposed to develop? If you think about it, it makes sense. It would be troublesome if an assistant AI had emotions, especially of the opposite sex. Jovia's face was beaming with joy, and even Seina felt like punching her. I hate people who are quick-witted. Hey, what were you trying to put in between that? You're a man, tell me straight out. There are some things I can't say because I'm a man, so please be understanding. Yeah, we seem like we'd make a great pair. That's disgusting. For the unlucky Seina, this was in some ways a normal occurrence, but when it came to Jovia, he couldn't help but lament his own bad luck. If that's the case, it's even more important to expose her to a variety of people. Even though I may look like this, I'm also a mother with a daughter. What's the point of making so many people bow their heads? A bad example? Jovia didn't give up. I know plenty of people like that, so I don't need them. Then it wouldn't hurt to have one more person. Hee, she really never gets discouraged. What an insensitive person. Seriously, it feels like I'm talking to Eri. I can't take it anymore. You'd better give up. No matter how you look at it, I don't think it's possible to exorcise her. Please don't ever end up like that, Nayuta. I beg of you. Perhaps you should discuss it with Nayuta-chan. Jovia pointed out to Seina, who was quiet for a moment. She really had a keen intuition for that sort of thing. Seina confirmed it with a small sigh. Actually, while we're here, I'd like to make a small suggestion to Nayuta-chan. Is it a proposal? I will listen and then make a decision. Just to be sure, as I mentioned before, the treatment of early civilization people includes providing them with technology, right? Haha, I understand that. The suggestion is only about magical techniques, so it's okay, right? Well, I guess that's the case. So, what's your proposal? Just in case, he prepared his paper fan. The point is, what about giving Nayuta a body? Huh? Nayuta reacted strongly to Jovia's words. Physical body? That's magic, isn't it? Of course. I'm sure you were also trying out different things in secret, Seinachi. Maybe Nayuta-chan was also doing different things on her own while you were sleeping. What? She really had good intuition. I see. Otherwise, there would be no way you could have gained such an absurd amount of magical energy in such a short time. Well, I won't deny it. Why don't you ask Nayuta-chan? Don't you want a body that can move freely? Nayuta. Is that so? Yeah. There are a lot of things I'd like to try together with Seina. It's true, it's difficult to keep it in my mind forever. Of course, the support for Seina will continue as before. I was born for that purpose, but I was thinking of asking Washu-san to do that. I think it will definitely be a decent product. For future reference, I would like to know how much knowledge the magical energy system has accumulated. That's true. I'm a little worried though. I think we can trust the barrier here and Jovia in that area. That makes you even more like Eri-san. Amazed, Seina gave Jovia an approving look. Okay, I've made a lot of prototypes myself. The latest one is number 28, which is a pretty good number, right? 17 is good too. I'm telling you, please stop with the giant beautiful girl robots. How about something like a Black Panther? It's very useful. Oh, over there, but like Fuku-chan and the other Kabit girls. It's interesting, isn't it? It was certainly easy to do with transforming animals, as there were many examples close at hand. Then a kitten would be nice. Something like this. Seina drew a three-dimensional image of Fuku. To prevent Jovia from taking the initiative and making it into something suspicious, he came up with a concrete plan to keep her in check. Oh, isn't that cute? Maybe something like this would be good for a start. Fortunately, Jovia seemed to be on board. Seina was relieved. But how much of a living being can you create with magic? Well, let's discuss that at my lab. It's about time to announce the test results. That's pretty quick, isn't it? Talking to Jovia had been so stressful that it felt like a lot of time had passed, but when he checked the time, it had only been an hour. It's a selection process for apprenticeships, so I don't look at it that closely. It's a rough selection process, so it's enough if they reach a certain level. The results were announced in the Great Hall where the Pito hunting children gathered. Numbered tags were hung on 4 large boards, and everyone was searching for their own number. At this stage, no one knew what the number meant, but many of the people seemed to understand that they were being separated, and their reactions were a mixture of joy and sorrow. Your attention, please. The staff member who was supervising Jovia's training session stood on the platform and began to speak. He was probably the person in charge of the test. You have all checked your numbers, right? Now, please move to the designated area indicated on the board posted on the wall. There, you will receive a detailed explanation of what will happen, and you can ask any questions you may have. Just to be clear, this is only an evaluation at this stage. This does not mean that your future has been decided. Remember, you can change your situation as much as you want depending on your future efforts. Everyone nodded slightly at the words of the staff member. Okay then, let's start moving. Seina-san. It looks like we passed. As soon as they started moving, Lurin, in high spirits, approached him. Lurin, but I guess we won't know until we go there. There's no way Seina-san would fail. The people who had accompanied Lurin nodded as well. Although it was embarrassing to be judged by others, Lurin was right. The people who had approached Seina had a certain air about them. That's right. I was trained by my father, a hunting adventurer, so I understand, but it wouldn't be strange for Seina to join a veteran party right away. Even the match against Habaru-san was no ordinary one. It's like, why are you even in a place like this in the first place? Either way, those who followed Seina were convinced. The place where Seina and the others gathered was a medium-sized meeting hall on the ground floor of the guild building. The interior also had a slightly luxurious feel to it, and the way they were treated made it clear that the people who had gathered there were indeed successful candidates. As you probably already guessed, the only people who passed this time are those here. Well, There are a few exceptions, but generally, it's about the same number as usual. From this point on, they become students, or rather trainees. The trainees all looked at Sena as if they had agreed to it. The staff member continued, smiling wryly at the sight of them. Now, I said you passed, but that only means you are qualified to participate in the next practical training. You will all take various paths to become a hunting adventurer. Some will join a large party or clan and start as an apprentice. Some will form a party with friends and start as a new adventurer. And some will go solo while searching for a place to join. No matter which path you choose, if the guild does not recognize your minimum abilities, you will not be allowed to go any further. You may have already heard of those who are receiving training as apprentice candidates elsewhere, but in the past, when there was no training system, the death rate of apprentices was quite high. Most of the time, this was caused by poor working conditions and scrupulous parties that used them as disposable items, but even in good places, the numbers were much higher than they are now. Fish can lay hundreds or even hundreds of millions of eggs, but only a few of them reach adulthood. Humans simply cannot have that many children. Hunting adventurers are essential to developing the Sea of Magic trees, maintaining it so it doesn't spread, and supplying it with many resources and food. Accidents are inevitable, but that doesn't mean we can't have a limited number of people, so disposable people are out of the question. That's why this training system was created, and it's actually functioning effectively, with the death rate of apprentices dropping dramatically. The abundance of data and materials has also had a major impact, and as a result, the living area of Nashval expands every year, and new resources are discovered every year in the Sea of Magic trees, making people's lives more prosperous. So keep in mind that studying hard here is for your own future. Those who had been given a passing grade were more serious than the other people who were there this morning. This was also the result of the training system, including the Pito hunts, functioning properly. Now, regarding the training content from now on, each of you will form a temporary party with a leader as your mentor and carry out several missions. Is that in the Sea of Magic trees? One person asked a question. The staff member anticipated this and left ample space between explanations to allow the students to ask questions. That's right. But even though it's the Sea of Magic trees, there are explored and unexplored areas. There are many things in the magic trees that can be used as materials. However, if we continued to collect them as they grew naturally, there would be an overwhelming shortage. That's why there are managed areas like fields where they are specially cultivated and increased. In the Sea of Magic trees? Of course, the things we're gathering are magic trees. If we planted them on normal land, they would erode it in no time. That's why we make fields in the shallow areas of the magic Sea of trees. For the safety of the workers who work there, we regularly thin out the monsters and provide escorts during work. Unlike the Pito fields, it's in the Sea of Magic trees, so I can't say there's no danger, but there are small forts in various places, so it's safer than unexplored territories. Can we stay overnight at the fort? Since this is training, you will also have the opportunity to experience camping. Now, regarding the outline of the upcoming mission, first you will be split into parties, and then your party leaders will explain it to you. Then you will move on to verify the specifics of the mission. You will have to purchase the equipment necessary for the mission, but unless it is something very special, you should be able to find everything you need in the underground shopping arcade. What about the party budget? Besides each person's own equipment, shared items were paid for from the party's savings, but in the case of a temporary party, there was no budget for that. Naturally, everyone in the party had to contribute, but unlike the hunting adventurers who joined of their own volition, the trainees were forced to participate. Not everyone had the budget for that. During your training, you will be given a fixed amount based on the content of your mission. Managing your finances within that amount will be part of your training. While I'm at it, I'll explain about the money. Even during training, you will be paid for your missions. However, unlike regular missions, your basic remuneration will be equivalent to your living expenses, which will be paid from the preparation period. And for all of you who have passed the exam and are here now, your preparation period begins today. In other words, the test itself was part of the mission and involved money. Oh, really? Oh, and as for accommodations while you're preparing for your mission, You'll basically be using the underground lodgings. However, each of you will have your own circumstances, so in that case you should discuss it with your leader and make your decision. Also, there will be no charge for food if you use the guild's designated dining hall during the period. However, alcohol and other luxury items will be at your own expense, so don't get that wrong. That's pretty comprehensive. It's like a GP academy. Also, the materials from monsters defeated during missions will be treated as non-mission rewards and will be converted into cash and distributed within the party after the mission is completed. However, do not be greedy and try to defeat more than you can, but follow the leader's judgment. Also, you need to be careful with the materials from the magic trees. There are always idiots who collect them without being able to tell the difference between them and crops from the fields, so be especially careful. Even if you are in training, you will be penalized. I'm glad Hato isn't here. He would definitely do that. Lurin said with a sigh, and everyone who knew about the commotion nodded slightly. Well, that's about it regarding the money, but in general terms, we will be training in basic party combat in parallel with the preparations. It will be an impromptu party, but considering the level of the mission, the people here should be more than capable of handling it. Once preparations are complete, we will move on to the actual mission and first head to the storage village, which is the stopover on the way to our destination. What is a storage village? Storage village is a general term. They're like relay stations built on the way to the magic tree fields. They serve as residences for those who manage the magic tree fields and the hunting adventurers who thin the monsters out, and also serve as a market where the harvest from the magic tree fields can be collected and traded. The difference between them and villages and towns is that depending on the time of year, they may be almost deserted apart from the managers. I see. If we're going to grow crops from the magic tree, there's no need to cultivate it. Doesn't it feel like a beach house? Will there be people there when we get there? Of course there will. That's why it's possible to do some simple resupply there. Then you'll head to your final destination, carry out your mission there, then return via the reverse route and complete the post-mission procedures. Then your mission will be complete. After that, your actions during the mission will be assessed, and if you pass, your training will end. If you fail, you'll receive supplementary training and move on to the next training session. Approximately how long will the training last? The duration is scheduled to be a maximum of 15 days. With that, I will announce the party division. Seina's party consisted of 8 people, including Lurin, 2 girls, 5 boys, and the party leader. There were 5 other parties with roughly the same number of people each. Each group moved to a small conference room to start planning. Well, let me start by introducing myself. I'm Ganappa, a sub-team member belonging to the clan Dark Green Stonewall, and I've been active for 3 years. I have experience as an apprentice team leader, so I've been asked by the guild to lead this party. Nice to meet you. Ganappa gave a small bow with a smile. As expected of someone who had been asked to be a leader, he had excellent communication skills and was a young man who exuded honesty and a sense of security. Some of the members seemed to recognize the clan's name, and a small murmur arose. After all, a career is also necessary to increase credibility. That's true. Eri-san is also a philosopher and the Academy's president. Don't tell everyone. Okay, I understand. I need a title. Regardless of her personality, Eri was competent at her job. She was not someone you could rely on in your private life, but at work. Now, please introduce yourselves. I'm Denoba. Nice to meet you. He was taller than the leader, Ganappa, and was the most well-built. I'm Lurin. Nice to meet you. Judging from what she said, Lurin must have come from a farming family in the countryside. She was a little on the stocky side and had a tan, but she was pretty good-looking. She'd look great with some makeup. I'm Makoto. She was a slightly slender woman with a sleepy expression and a hunched posture, but there was something charming about her. As she was sitting next to Lurin, it seemed they had either known each other for a while or had become good friends. I'm Kato. Nice to meet you. He was a little shorter than Seina, had a stocky, sumo-type build, and still had the appearance of a boy with a bit of innocence about him. I'm Radku. He was a short but muscular young man with broad shoulders and a strong tan. I am Tom. Nice to meet you. He was thin and nervous, but also quite tanned. There were many students with distinctive tans among them. They were probably immigrants. I'm Sena. Nice to meet you. So you're the guy everyone's talking about. That must be a lot of trouble. Ganapa's expression changed, and he gave a wry smile. As a leader, it was only natural that he would know the identities of the other members in advance. Can you help me with that? Sorry, but as far as I know there isn't any. It's common knowledge in this town that if you get tangled up in that thing, you have no choice but to give up. You mean the whole town knows? Although conspicuous, this city was quite large. He could understand if it was related to hunting adventurers, but the fact that she was known in other areas was, well, as she said, I'm a childhood friend and close associate of the Lord. Even if he didn't say or do those things, he's still famous. The point was that her strange behavior was known in many places and many people were being inconvenienced by her. Well, I guess that's a no-go. Since she had a daughter who felt even more uncomfortable than Sena, he couldn't be too selfish. It's not my place to say, but you're pretty easygoing, aren't you? I'm used to those kinds of people. So that's just as the rumors say. Oh, nothing. Back to the mission. It starts the day after tomorrow in the morning. Everyone is here, so I don't think there will be any problems with the schedule, right? Ganapa looked around as he said this, but no one objected. It may have seemed sudden, but as a registered hunting adventurer, all work was assigned through the guild. Therefore, by the time they took the test, any previous work commitments and personal matters should have been cleared. Tomorrow, we will meet here at the same time as today, each with our own equipment. We will prepare and buy supplies. I don't have my equipment yet. Some of the immigrants came here with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Some had just graduated from pedo hunting. You can get all the gear you need tomorrow when we go shopping. There are plenty of secondhand sets available, so you'll have everything you need in no time. In that case, you'll have to pay out of your own pocket, but if you meet certain standards, you can borrow from the guild without interest, so just speak to me later. At these words, several people nodded in relief. Then we will gather all the necessary items tomorrow, and after a brief training session, everyone will stay the night in the guild dorms and depart the next day. So far so good, right? Everyone nodded in response to Ganapa's question. Well, I'll explain our destination. We're going to the North No. 2 market. It's commonly known as Cotton Fluff. Ganapa began his explanation by pointing at a simple map with a stick. Markets don't have names. They're referred to by their approximate direction and a number. The name often comes from what kind of products are mainly sold there. For example, there are spices and fruit and even potatoes among them. The potatoes from the demon tree are earth gold? Is it possible to change the training location to there? If that's not possible, we could hold the next training there. That's not possible, is it? The first to respond were the two women, Makoto and Laren. They seemed to be really interested. Ganapa seemed to know the reason and was smiling wryly, but the other men were a little put off by their enthusiasm. I understand your feelings, but unfortunately, that place is under the direct control of the Lord, so there is a dedicated person there. If a problem occurs, a designated adventurer will be dispatched, so if you really want to, that's what you should aim for. I see. The two women slumped their shoulders in disappointment. Do you know what earth gold is, Nayuta? It's the underground stem of the same demonic tree as prosciutto, and is a general term for sweet-tasting things. Maybe it's like a sweet potato? I think that's what was used in the dessert at the restaurant yesterday. That's it. It was very delicious. I see. I can understand why the girls reacted so much. Sena recalled that the course meal included a dessert with a sweet bean paste filling similar to chestnut dumplings. There was also something similar to potato tempura. The sweet taste left a strong impression on her because it was something she had never felt on Earth or in space. Your magical organ was reacting quite a bit, so that may be related. I've confirmed that it's not a narcotic. Normal sweets can be addictive too, so there shouldn't be a problem. I've tested it, but it's going to take some time. I wonder if the reason it has an effect on magical organs is because it's made from materials related to the magic tree? Either way, if it's a high-quality item, you probably won't have many opportunities to eat it, so there's no need to rush. Also, it seems like Sena didn't notice, but after Jovia finished her own portion, she looked at Sena's plate with a greedy look on her face. It looked like she was hoping to ask for yours if possible. I'm glad I didn't notice. If he had noticed Jovia's lustful gaze, he wouldn't have felt like eating it. Now, we will be training on foot to the cotton fluff market. After making final adjustments at the market, we will move to our destination. You get the gist of it, right? Ganappa glanced at Sena and the others and continued speaking. Okay, now let's move to the office, and I'll show you how to complete the various procedures. Once that's done, we'll dismiss you. Even though it was called an office, the hunting adventurers who were the main force in securing resources numbered in the tens of thousands, including the Pito hunting children. This meant that the reception desk itself felt like a fairly large government office, and the floor level could change depending on the content of the request. It was physically impossible for everything to be handled at one reception desk, but with the advancement of so-called electronic magic using magic crystals and magic, the procedures themselves had been greatly simplified. I wonder if this was also developed by Jovia? There's a high possibility. With Ganappa explaining everything to them, the procedure was completed fairly quickly. Some of them needed to pay in advance, so they moved again to the accounting department, which specialized in payments. As expected, there were armed guards and iron bars at the counter, so it felt quite secure. And perhaps as a precaution against robbery, the exit was a special passageway that was one way only. They withdrew the necessary amount at the counter, and their work for the day was done. Everyone dispersed.